I am still mourning the loss of Disney's Magical Express and that immediate immersion into Disney World you would get right after landing, but it's time for us to be realists and find replacement transportation from the.
Welcome to Always Planning Disney, where planning is half the fun. I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Melissa.
And on this channel, we talk through all of the details that go into making our vacations magical.
So just a little bit of background. My Disney party is a group of 4, 2 adults, 2 kids, but that's 3 Disney adults because, their cutoff is incredibly young for what counts as an adult. But anyway, but I do still have a Disney child who is out of a 5-point harness car seat and into a booster, which is a huge difference when it comes to transportation. We live in Michigan, so flying is the best way to get to Orlando. And traveling with a car seat is something I don't enjoy doing unless it's in my car. And then that really limits your ground transportation options. So I'm kind of looking forward to having a kid who's now just in a booster seat, especially because there's so many portable options you can get these days.
That sounds so nice. And it's still pretty far in my future. So we have a party of 5 this trip. We have 4 true adults and then a child who is still in a 5-point harness car seat in the car at home. I'm not sure if we're going to have the car seat along for this Disney trip because it really just depends on how much he grows between now and then. A lot of kids his age are in boosters at this age, but he's a little guy, so he's not eligible for that yet. So we'll see if that's something that'll work in terms of just the airplane transportation. And then, of course, thinking about what kind of ground transportation we're going to take, because that's a little bit different from traveling on the airplane. So we'll see whether or not the car seat comes along.
So I loved Disney's Magical Express, the ease of it. I don't even know how long it took to get to the resort because when you were on that, you felt like you were already at Disney. Vacation had started. So I'm really going to miss that. I think it was an amazing perk, but they took it away. I have to get over it. So we're going to talk some replacements. And the first one up is Sunshine Flyer, which I did not know anything about until we were preparing for this. And I discovered that the shuttles are adorable. The old-fashioned train theming. I'm really excited for that because I loved theming on Magical Express. And this gets me, I don't know, a little bit close to that again.
Yeah, the theming was really what caught our attention for Sunshine Flyer right away. Our son is super into trains, as I've mentioned before, so this would be really fun for him. And as soon as we found out that that's what they were doing with this service, we were like, all right, I guess transportation is decided because he'll love it so much. We'll see. We have a lot of options to talk through today, so we'll see. But tickets are also on sale right now. So through the end of July, they have one-way tickets for $16 an adult, round trip for $32 an adult, and Disney children, so 3 through 9, because they cut them off early, are free. So that would be $128 round trip for us, which is a lot more than free.
So it's $96 for my party, way more than free. I really miss the free. I also discovered when I was preparing for this video that Sunshine Flyer offers military discounts, and we're using our civilian military ID to get into Shades of Green and also to get discounted park tickets. So the discount is not as good as this deal that they're running through the end of July, but it's something that'll knock a little bit of money off. I think it's 10% off. I also looked at the reviews and they seem decent overall. The only complaints were related to customer service, issues with communication, and also occasionally the shuttles leaving early or running late, which either way is not good. Although I think if it left early, that would be much more devastating to be abandoned at the airport.
Absolutely. And it's hard when these services are so new to know, like, okay, what is them working out kinks and what is a legitimate problem with the service? So I don't know what to think at this point when we're only, 7 months in or so.
Mm-hmm. All right, Mears Connect is next. Mears Connect pricing today at least is $32 round trip per adult, $27 per child. That's very similar in price. I don't know. That's not a very big difference between adult and child pricing for me. Or if you really want to go for it, they do offer private round trip for up to 4 passengers for $250. Way more than free.
Way more than free. And I do notice that the regular adult price that they have going is the same as that Sunshine Flyer on sale. So really the only difference between these two for us is the one kid free on each of them. So that's good to kind of keep in our minds as we're comparing these.
Yeah, the one thing that I am worried about with Mears Connect is that it has really bad reviews, which was surprising to me because this is the company that operated Disney's Magical Express, which was seamless every time we used it, which was every time we went to Disney. But people on all ears have they're currently rating it at just a little bit over 4 out of 10 in their reviews, and the list of complaints is long and angry. So that makes me nervous about spending all of that money.
Yeah, this is what I'm really stressing about with any of these replacement shuttle services that have cropped up after the death of Magical Express, because I just keep seeing these bad reviews for both Sunshine Flyer and Mears Connect in my Disney groups on various social media platforms. And I was already pretty nervous about Disney's Magical Express because we would be, end of our trip, we had to leave. It was already very sad, didn't want to be going. And then Magical Express would run like super late and make me really nervous that we were going to miss our flight. But at least I knew like it's all part of the Disney package. They're going to make sure that we get back home. They don't want us to be upset. Whereas I feel like there's a lot less at stake for these third-party companies when it comes to their customer service. And I don't know if I really trust any of them to make it right. So I don't know, that worries me about any of them.
And that brings us to the next one, which is a company calling themselves the Magical Express. However, for me, this is just a Magical Express. It is not the. Currently, they're offering group round trip rates. For my family, that's $160, and that's in a shared shuttle. They also do offer private transportation in the form of a Yukon Black 4 to 5 passenger van. That's $100 each way, so that'd be $200 total. But the interior pictures they offer sent me into a panic. They have blacked out windows and weird party bus lights. It made me claustrophobic. And $200 again to get to and from the airport. I don't know. However, the reviews for this company are fine. Most of the complaints are just tied to the price.
Okay, that's good to know. I did not even know that this one existed. So thank you for digging this one up.
And I'm sure there's some other company behind it that is just branding themselves the Magical Express in order to get you to and from the airport and tap into the Disney market. And it might be worth reading some fine print at the bottom to discover who that is and try booking through them directly, because up next we have some non-Disney specific transportation options that will still get you from the airport to your hotel. So obviously we'll start off with grabbing a Lyft or an Uber. I ran a price late this morning, which is around the time that we land, and it was $40 from MCO to Shades of Green. That would be $80 round trip if the prices stay stable, but they don't. Uber was comparable, about $45 each way, but the prices do whatever they want to at any given time, and so you don't know what you're going to get until you show up there. And if you're using a Lyft or an Uber, I don't know how early you can pre-book to try to get that rate, but this is one where if you want to know what you're paying ahead of time, it's a little bit riskier. But the biggest pro is that it's direct. It's going to be quick. And right now, this is actually the quickest and cheapest for my group. So that it becomes a real option for us since we just have a booster seat. So we might end up Ubering or Lyfting.
Yeah, I looked into this too, and I thought, oh, surely it's going to be like way too expensive, especially since we have 5 people. So we would have to get either a Lyft XL or an Uber XL. And I was thinking, oh, that's going to be like way too expensive compared to the shuttle. But actually, the Lyft XL is around $45. The Uber XL is around $60. Obviously, you have tip in there. We would have to bring our own car seat because I don't trust, I know that there are like ways to request a car seat through these rideshare companies. I don't trust random drivers' car seats. Like I just don't. So we might wind up having to bring it for the flight anyway, in which case like it's not really going to matter that much if we're then using it for the transportation to Disney. In fact, that actually makes it feel a little more worthwhile than just using it for the flights, which is what we did last time because we took the Magical Express and you don't use a car seat on the Magical Express.
Now, I did use an Uber with a car seat on our last trip because we went from our Disney resort to Universal, and it was our only option because I didn't bring a car seat. I didn't want to. And one of the ways, because we went back and forth 2 days, most of the trips, the car seat was fine. In fact, the one driver had the exact car seat we use, but we did get a trip home at the end of night with this really shady looking contraption that's just sort of like buckled in with straps. And I was a mess trying to figure out, do we cancel? Do we get another one? And it is a little bit extra money to get a car with a car seat and then to have a car seat that you don't trust and have to do the process all over. It's nerve wracking. I recommend bringing your own car seat if you're going to Uber or Lyft.
Yeah, well, and with something like going to Universal, then where are you going to put the car seat all day while you're there? Like, I don't know, can you get a locker that big to be able to store your car seat? It's a whole
Okay, way too much money though.
Yeah, you don't want to deal with that. Yeah, so it is worth noting that Disney has recently brought back the minivans, and those have car seats in them. And I feel better about those car seats because they're like part of the whole Disney fleet. It all seems very like clean and maintained, and it's going to be, you know, dealt with by the company as opposed to like the individual driver who owns that vehicle and that car seat. So that makes me feel a little better, but they aren't driving to and from the airport yet. They used to, but they're not yet. I don't know if they're going to bring that back. And I looked it up and it used to be a flat $150 trip for up to 6 people. So if they do bring that back, it's probably one of the most expensive ways to handle your transportation. But I guess you get a cute themed van and you get some reliable car seats. So I don't know.
So speaking of expensive, but without the theming, there's always town cars you can get from airports. And as a child, I remember seeing these and always assuming one day I'd be like a fancy person getting like town car driven around town. There's a company, Tiffany Town Car, that offers specific transportation from MCO to Disney resorts. It is they have a 4-person option where you get a booster seat. I don't believe they have a car seat one for $185. So yes, this is expensive, but what it does is it really makes that Mears Connect private $250 round trip. It looks completely ridiculous. I don't know what Mears thinks they're doing. So town cars are an option too, if you're fancy.
If you're fancy.
But it does not help you if you have the car seat unless you're traveling with your car seats. That's a whole other thing. And then there's also car rental. That's a big note for me because in addition to the daily fee of renting a car, which is a lot of days on a week-long trip, you have to pay $15 to park at your Disney resort. I also don't mind, and I kind of love Disney transportation, so I'm not going to use a car during my trip anyway. However, driving my own car isn't off the table for us as an aside if we're still worried about issues with flying. Stay tuned for updates on that, but I'm definitely not going to rent a car.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, so I wanted to get kind of a ballpark for this without like going into, you know, a whole bunch of companies' car rental sites or whatever. And Mouse Savers gave me a ballpark of $50 to $75 per day right now for car rentals in the Orlando area. So that's a sense of it. We wouldn't have to pay for parking because we're staying on DVC points, so parking is included in that. But still, that's a lot to spend on transportation, especially since we have a much longer trip than usual. So I don't think we'll go for this just because of the cost. And also, I hate driving in general, but I don't think anyone in our party really wants to drive on our Disney vacation and like pump gas on our Disney vacation. Like none of that sounds appealing. But I do want to talk with the rest of the adults in my group before we completely rule it out. I want to talk to them about our rope drop strategy because I'm wondering if a car rental might be helpful for that. And I also want to talk about trying not to get COVID in Disney World because I do think, you know, this might be a way to help keep us safer, right? Because if you're taking a 20-minute bus ride with, you know, packed in with whoever else, and I'm assuming there aren't very many people masking these days, I don't know. I feel like that's a really good place to get exposed. So I think it's still on the table. I'm not ruling it out yet, but I think it's probably unlikely for us.
I forgot to factor in the COVID card in looking at these options. I know if we fly, which we likely will, we're definitely getting as like super powered of masks as we can to not pick anything up on the way there. But I didn't think about also doing that on transportation. All that shared transportation we take. Oh my goodness. All right. So here's my conclusion. at all of these options, that July Sunshine Flyer discount is the best price for us. But I kind of went direct to resort transportation. Also, for me, the biggest issue is I have not booked our flight yet. I'm 90% sure we're going to fly because it's just the best way, but we haven't ruled out driving because I'm nervous about flight cancellations and delays, and I don't want that ruining our trip in any way. And I know that it is possible to drive. We'd only have to add a day onto either end of our trip to make it work. So I don't want to pre-book any ground transportation until I have a flight. But when I do have that flight, that whole town car thing is looking a little appealing to me.
Yeah, I think it's really crazy when we're crunching these numbers that private and direct seems like it might be cheaper than a giant shared shuttle service. Like, what is that about? Is that just gas prices or what's going on there? So I really thought that we were going to jump onto that Sunshine Flyer deal before the month is out, but now I'm seriously second guessing. So I need to do some talking with the rest of the adults on my group, and we need to figure this out before that deal expires.
Thanks so much for tuning in, and remember to like and subscribe to plan along with us.